Live on air. GNU Radio, developer call August 2016. We have a couple of agenda items already posted on our wiki page. The first one being grcon with a whole bunch of sub items. I'm just going to pass it off to Ben for this one.
Thanks. Yeah, so GRCon is just 2.5 weeks out at this point. Things are coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really awesome conference. So to go through a few items, I'm going to real quickly put up my screen. Share. So for those who haven't seen it yet, the schedule has been finalized, and you can see it on the conference website. Just to go through a few details, on Monday there's actually two separate tracks. Monday has historically been the New Users Day, where the content is geared for novice users who perhaps aren't as familiar with GNU Radio as everybody else. So there'll be a New Users Day track, which is the primary track, but there'll also be an advanced track. And this year, the advanced track is primarily focused on FPGA development. That wasn't by design, but it's just sort of how it turned out. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the technical conference, as usual, and Friday is Developer Summit. So we have two keynotes this year. On Tuesday, Dr. Charles Clancy, who's director of the Hume Center, will be giving a keynote on deep neural signal processing as it pertains to wireless communications. And on Thursday, we have a keynote from Pierre de Vries, who I think this one actually be really interesting. So last year there was a lot of conversation because the FCC had just released a notice of proposed rulemaking that was basically locking down wireless routers, and it was seen to the perception was that it could be expanded to cover SDRs. So Pierre is affiliated with the Law Center at the University of Colorado, and so we'll be talking about how the FCC's process and regulations affect those of us working in the SDR world, and also how what we're doing in the SDR world, specifically with GNU Radio, is affecting the creation of these rules and the regulators. And it'll be pretty interesting. He has a technical background, so it'll be from the technical side, and that'll be good. On Friday, so this year, again, as a reminder, the Developer Summit will be a little bit different. In previous years, the Developer Summit's kind of been a free-for-all in terms of grab a table, pick a challenge, and start hacking on it. This year, we will still have that concept, and you can just sit down and hack on stuff and ask questions if you want. But there will also be organized sort of talks and tutorials, and they'll be geared more for like hands-on walkthrough kind of talks. So Philip Ballister and Nathan West are leading kind of the program creation of this day, and they sent a solicitation out to the mailing list. So if you're interested in giving a talk on Friday, it could be about anything from like how to create a new GNU Radio block to how to debug something, or even how to use Git, for example. Topics that you think would be useful to people who are developing GNU Radio, whether it's a novice topic or an expert topic. I encourage you to reach out to Philip and Nathan or respond to their email. On the student, so regarding the ticket registrations, so we are over 75% sold out for total registrations of the conference. The student registrations actually completely sold out a couple of days ago. We had allotted 50 slots for funded student registrations, and those sold out a couple days ago. Now, I expect that, so tomorrow is the deadline for every student who has registered as a student to prove their student status. So if you are not a student and you have not yet sent your proof of status and resume, you need to get that in by tomorrow, otherwise your registration will be canceled. So as of this morning, there's about 20 people outstanding who have not yet provided proof of their student status. So tomorrow, those registrations will once again become available and open up yet more slots for students to register. A couple other notes. Once again, this year we will be recording all talks and posting them on YouTube. Unlike in previous years where we did it ourselves, this year we're actually paying professionals to come in and record the talks, and it'll be the nice fancy split screen where the left half of the screen is directly piped from the slide presentation, and the right side of the screen is focused on the speaker. So that'll be really good. And lastly, We still have actually a number of slots open for posters. I think we have five or six open poster slots. So if you're interested in presenting a poster, we still have availability there. So please get in touch with us. You do not have to be present at the conference to present a poster. This is how, for example, several of the GSOC students are presenting, even though they can't travel internationally to be at the conference. And I think that's it. Michael or Philip, did either of you have something you wanted to add to that regarding GRCon?
I'm good.
All right, and I'll assume by Philip's silence he's good too. All right, Martin, I'll throw it back to you.
Cool. So next thing on the agenda is Google Summer of Code and also Summer of Code in Space, also called GSOC and SOCS. So quick rehash what happened. So we had a total of 4 students start Summer of Code, 3 in GSOC and 1 in SOCS, and then one of the GSOC students had to withdraw for health. He was sick basically. He couldn't finish, which was a shame. He had a very promising proposal, and I do hope we will see more of him sometime in the future. But the rest of the students have been working on their individual projects. So 2 of them have been working on the GR Inspector toolbox, which is now becoming part of GNU Radio. It's not going to be merged in Tree, because we want to sort of keep the flexibility and keeping it out of Tree. But it's a part of the GNU Radio project. So think of it as a very interesting demo example. And Sebastian Müller, that is, in particular, has been very good about not only writing good code, but also managing the module. And in his latest blog, which he publishes weekly to sort of present on his progress, he has a very, very cool video that I recommend you go check out. It's 2 minutes and shows off some of the cool features. And all of the students will be presenting, as Ben already said, in some way or the other at GNU Radio Conference. Well, actually, they will all be presenting with a poster. And then, but Sebastian will also be there in person, so if you want to meet him and tell him what a great job he did, you will have that opportunity. And both the GSOC students, so GSOC has basically concluded at this point, and both GSOC students that did not drop out have also passed. And SOCS is still running for a little bit, but we're expecting good results on that one as well. And we are definitely planning to participate again next year in Google Summer of Code. And the most important thing we need for that until then is good ideas for projects. So if people want to start thinking about those, I'd appreciate that a lot. I'll probably send out a request for ideas over the mailing list fairly soon, actually, just to get those in on time to clean up the wiki pages and all of that. Yeah, that's all of it from Summer of Code. I don't have any discussion material for Google Summer of Code, so I'm just going to leave it at the announcement. And the next announcement slot will be about releases. So Jonathan, if you can talk about that. Also, Jonathan, can you talk about the GRC things that you merged that Sebastian provided?
Yeah, those actually haven't been merged yet, but I'll talk about them. So let me go ahead and share the release notes here. Got them up. Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay, so we had it's actually been about a month. We had the 3.7.10 release. Between this release and the patch release that just went out this last week, there were a total of 39 different contributors to the project, which is still maintaining our run rate of about this many, sometimes more, contributors per release. So that is always very nice to see sort of the breadth of the different types of people and where they come from that contribute to the project. 3.7.10 wasn't as big a release as we typically have for point releases, but a couple of major areas that saw a lot of work on. Of course, GRC has been getting a lot of attention for the last several releases. I think I see Seth here, so Seth, if you want to add something at the end of mine about this, I'm sure you know this far better than I do. But one of the things that GRC is going through is a whole lot of user interface improvements and cleanup in different areas that make it look a whole lot more professional than what we started with a while ago. And you can see here in the release notes how they're itemized. I won't go over all of these. But again, GRC continues to be what people see nowadays when they run GNU Radio, at least when they're doing the development of GNU Radio applications. And we have some pretty big changes in GRC coming down the pipe for 3.8, which I'll talk about after this. Or at least I'll mention some of the bigger items to expect near term. Also, in the 3.7.10 release, we finally were able to merge Tom Rondeau's work in providing some better layer 2 packet comms blocks for GNU Radio. We have in the 3.7 tree a lot of different sort of overlapping ways of doing things for creating packets, for doing headers, for parsing on reception, for chaining these things together. And he's developed a set of new blocks that implement in C++ now, not in the Python code like we've had. Implement blocks for doing arbitrary header contents and defining those and parsing those and getting the values out, as well as a sort of a design pattern for processing headers and payloads that use different modulation types, etc. So in the digital examples, there's a really good set that goes through block by block, a whole transmitter and receiver chain that uses these blocks and shows how they're configured. We're going to be, for 3.8, eliminating a large chunk of these older overlapping sort of not so much obsolete as not very useful blocks, and hopefully in 3.8 it'll be a much cleaner perspective for people looking at GNU Radio for the first time and looking at the digital stuff that we have and figuring out how to put together modems that work for what they want to do. Those are the two major developments. There's a lot of other things you can read in the release notes in different bits and pieces around the tree. Seth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to add anything on the GRC stuff? I kind of just mentioned it. You don't have to. I know this is putting you on the spot.
Just really quickly, with the 3.7.10 release, the variable explorer is probably going to be the biggest thing that people are going to see when they first start it. And it gives you a really, really nice way to clean up the flow graph if you have tons of variables and imports and such. The rest of it's kind of like, tools to make it easier for aligning blocks and selecting all of them and things like that. So just a lot of little tweaks in the UI. And then for the 3.8 release, we're still trying to get all the refactoring finished, and that's going to have a lot of changes in the. For example, we're switching to GTK3, so there's going to be a lot of under the hood changes, but the UI is going to look essentially the same.
The other major thing happening with GRC in 3.8 is the switch over from using Cheetah templates to using Mako. Now that's already happened in things like ModTool and in the Edis software as well. But we have a much larger task in that all of the XML files for all of our hundreds of blocks have to be converted to the new Mako format, as well as code for to help people with their out-of-tree modules to convert that to work with 3.8 GRC. And then the ability to continue to load older flow graphs, for example, that are not written in the new Mako format. All of this work is underway right now. And so when we do release 3.8, we'll have, that'll probably be the largest bit of work that people will have is to get used to the new way of describing blocks and how GRC handles that. And I think that's it. I don't know if we have any other agenda items.
I was muted there. We have one more thing. This is about. So Marcus Muller has been very, very active for a long time, both on the mailing list but also on Stack Overflow. And this is sort of a reminder that we, not only to others, also to ourselves, that there's a lot of good questions going on Stack Overflow, and Stack Overflow is actually a better format for simple Q&A style correspondences than the mailing list. The mailing list is much better for many things, such as any kind of discussion. But there's a simple question like I want to do X and it doesn't work. Then Stack Overflow is better because it gets properly indexed by Google and all of that. So this is just a reminder. If you're helping, if you want to help people out, please look on Stack Overflow and answer questions there. You can subscribe to tags and all of that. But mostly a question of making it a habit. And right now, Marcus is pretty much the only one doing most of those answering. So it would really be helpful to everyone if more people would hop on and help answering questions on Stack Overflow.
It might be useful, I don't know, to reply to questions on the mailing list with suggestions that they repost that on Stack Overflow. That would both let people know, that's another venue, as well as other people know to go check those for answering. I guess it might sound bad when somebody asks a question to go ask them to ask it somewhere else. But that would really, I think, help to promote Stack Overflow as a way of doing this. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the question. Like you said, I mean, if it's an easily answered question, I think it would, like you say, it would kind of sound bad to be like, oh, I can answer your question easily, but go ask it in this other place. But I do really like the idea of guiding people to say, in the future, if you have a really simple question, you can check out Stack Overflow. It's a good venue for this. I think that's a really good idea. And like you said, it will kind of raise awareness within the mailing list.
One feature that Stack Overflow has is you can actually answer your own questions. And it sounds obvious, but they actually market it as a feature. But if stuff comes up a lot, it might be easier to just type both the question and the answer onto Stack Overflow, and just refer people to that answer then instead of typing it out again on the mailing list.
I think that's a really good point, Martin. And just to point this out, I'm sharing my screen right now. I don't actually know if it's coming up.
Yes.
So there's like 5 questions currently on Stack Overflow that are that have the GNU Radio tag that have not been answered. And so this one was just asked yesterday as an example. But if you look at pretty much any of these that actually have answers, chances are, this one's Kevin Reed. He does occasionally hop in. Marcus Mueller handles a lot of these as well. This one's Marcus. So if you use Stack Overflow, highly encourage you to follow the GNU Radio tag and try to pick up questions as they pop up.
So also, Stack Overflow has the option to revise both the question and the answer. So if someone asks a question that is a good question, but we need some formatting in terms of or grammar or spelling, anything like that. This is something we can't do on the mailing list, where the exact conversation is recorded. This thing. Okay. I think
I had one more item, Marcus, Martin, if you don't mind me jumping in.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
So still sharing my screen. I did want to try to raise awareness about the DARPA, the most recent DARPA Grand Challenge, which is a Spectrum Collaboration Challenge. So if you're not familiar with it, the DARPA Grand Challenges, I actually don't know what it takes to be classified as a Grand Challenge. My perception is that it basically means you can win a whole ton of money. So if you actually win first place in the challenge, you get $2 million. There's first place, second place, and third place prizes here. But in addition, for this particular grand challenge, there's actually 2 checkpoints over the course of the 3 years of the challenge, in which you can win. If you're in the top 10 of the teams that are participating, you get $750,000. So if you're in the top 10 at checkpoint 1 and the top 10 at checkpoint 2, and you win first place, that's actually $3.5 million in prize money, and that assumes that you didn't actually apply for funding. So DARPA is actually anticipating that a lot of the challenge participants will be using GNU Radio, which I'm especially excited about. And the program manager for this particular challenge is speaking on Tuesday at GRCon. Here, Paul Tillman, DARPA Spectrum Collaboration Challenge. The reason I want to bring it up now is, so there's 2 tracks that you can use to participate in the Grand Challenge. One of them is called the quote-unquote open source track, in which you fund your own development, and you can still win the total and $3.5 million in prize money, and you just do it on your own. You do have to go through the threshold hurdle tests to join, but it's open to everybody. So I think this is a really great opportunity for the GNU Radio community. If you're in a situation where you actually want to be paid for your development, there is a proposal track where you can submit a proposal to DARPA, and assuming your proposal is accepted, they will actually fund your participation in the challenge. And the reason I'm pointing this out is that you'll note that the deadline for the proposal is September 2nd, which is before GRCon. So I'm sure Paul is going to talk a lot about the open track and how the open source community can participate in the challenge and compete for the prize money. But if you would like to be funded for the development, the deadline to submit your proposal is September 2nd. So unless there's any questions on that, that's all I had, and I'll pass it back to Martin.
Yeah, and I don't have anything else, so I think unless someone else wants to bring something up, we can just call it a day. No? Okay, great. So then see you all in Boulder pretty soon. And actually, let me check my calendar real quick. So nominally the next call would be, oh man, like sometime in September. But I think given it's sort of post GRCon fallout, we'll just not do it.
Yeah, I'd actually tried to cancel the September one. Maybe I did it improperly, but yeah, I think our next dev call ought to be in October. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so the next dev call will be in October. Let me just check. That would be the 21st. Is that a holiday or something? No, that's fine. Okay. Oh, it's already on the calendar. Sorry, the 20th, and it's already on the calendar as Ben has posted. Yeah, no, it's actually the September one was actually canceled properly. For some reason, I didn't. No, it's still on there. I don't know, but it's not happening. It's not happening. There won't be a dev call in September. There will be one in October on the 20th. So, okay, then that's it for this week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you at GRCon, and goodbye. Bye.